Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam, total world victory of Hari Krishna. My name is Sitapati Das.
And my name is Danna Devi.
And this is Bhagavad-gita 265 and 266.
Oh, combined. Okay.
Yeah, because 265 has no purport.
Sad.
Sad. Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching this live on Facebook or YouTube, or if you're watching it in the archives later on. Either way, feel free to tag a friend or 10, share the good news of the Bhagavad-gita. Here we go. Bhagavad-gita 265 to begin with. You want to do the Sanskrit for this one?
Yeah, sure.
Go for it.
Prasāde sarva-duḥkhānāṁ hānir asyopajāyate prasanna-cetaso hi asya buddhiḥ paryavatiṣṭhate.
Great. Muy bien. Want to keep going?
Okay. Prasāde.
On achievement of the causeless mercy of the Lord.
Sarva.
All.
Duḥkhānāṁ.
Material miseries.
Hāniḥ.
Destruction.
Asya.
His.
Upajāyate.
It's upajāyate.
Upajāyate.
Takes place.
Prasanna-cetasaḥ.
Of the happy-minded. Certainly.
Asu.
Very soon.
Buddhir.
Intelligence.
Pari.
Sufficiently.
Avatiṣṭhate.
Established. Translation. For one who is so situated in the divine consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. In such a happy state, one's intelligence soon becomes steady. Okay, let's have a look at this is quite a different translation. Let me blow this one up more. On par with the other one. Here we go. So exam diff 65. So originally, for one who is so situated in the divine consciousness, changed to for one thus satisfied in Krishna consciousness. The threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer, and then in such a happy state, one's intelligence soon becomes steady, changes to in such satisfied consciousness, one's intelligence is soon well established. Okay, so established is there. Very soon, buddhi paryavatiṣṭhate.
Sufficiently, yeah.
Yeah. Established. Becomes established. What did Srila Prabhupada say? He said established. He didn't say becomes established. And then he says is accepted as established. Is present, accepted, past, participle, as established. Very soon becomes steady. Soon well established. It's funny because here they've changed it. They've changed it from one's intelligence soon becomes steady to one's intelligence is soon well established. But they didn't change it back to what Prabhupada wrote.
And in such a satisfaction of consciousness, one intelligence accepted as established.
Is accepted as established.
Yeah.
You know what I think has happened here with the first edition? I think that, let me have a look at this. Our boy Hayagriva, Dr. Radha Krishna.
Which Radha Krishna?
Bhagavad-gita. Okay, archive.org, free. Hopefully we can read it online. Yes, we can. So,
Pardon me.
It's an English Bhagavad-gita.
Who is Dr. Hare Krishna?
Dr. Radha Krishna?
Oh, Radha Krishna.
I don't know, really. All I know is that they were using Dr. Radha Krishna's translation until they published their own.
Mm.
Until Srila Prabhupada's one was not able to be published. Here's his commentary is like,
Lot.
well, yeah, it's an intro. He didn't do verse by verse purports the way Srila Prabhupada did. Let's just like randomly leap ahead here. Second chapter, the Yoga of Knowledge.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, we're on what, 65?
Mm-hmm.
64, 65. And in that purity of spirit, there is produced for him an end of all sorrow. The intelligence of such a man of pure spirit is soon established in the peace of the self. Oh, man.
Oh, that's a little bit too complicated.
Yeah. One's intelligence soon becomes steady. Where did he get that from? Because Srila Prabhupada's one's intelligence is accepted as established, avatiṣṭhate, established.
Mm-hmm.
One's intelligence soon becomes steady.
Steady.
For one who is so situated in the divine consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer in such a happy state. So, in such satisfaction of consciousness. So, in the second edition, for one thus satisfied in Krishna consciousness, in such satisfied consciousness, in such satisfaction of consciousness.
Accepted, established.
So, one's intelligence is soon well established. And they haven't. They've taken it closer to Srila Prabhupada, but then deviated at the last minute. You know, probably because of
very soon.
What? Yeah, because of this asya, very soon. Okay, it is closer to Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. Hare Krishna Vaishnava Sevadas. We're fully 100% geeking out on the Bhagavad-gita, different editions, including Srila Prabhupada's original manuscript, because that's just how we like to roll. Thanks for tuning in. Hare Krishna. Okay. Let's have a look at the verse itself. For one who's so situated in the divine consciousness, how do they get situated in there? Causeless mercy. Yeah. One who can control the senses by practicing the regulated principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord and thus become free from all attachment and aversion. Being thus situated, threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. That's Adi Atmika, Adi Daivaka, and, you know? No?
No.
Adi Bhautaka. Threefold miseries of material existence.
That's your threefold misery.
You know what those are? The threefold miseries? No? So they're miseries arising from Adi Atmika, from other living entities. No, from oneself.
Yeah.
From the mind, from the body. Adi Bhautaka, from other living entities, other bodies. Adi Bhautaka. And Adi Daivaka, from the environment, like the devas, you know? Nature, natural forces.
What's other living entities? That means like other people that give you miseries?
Yeah, and mosquitoes as well.
Oh, your best friends.
Yeah. Mosquitoes.
They're good suckers. They like my blood somehow.
Do they?
Oh.
Man, mosquitoes never bite me at all.
Because your blood is yuck. Yuck! For the mosquitoes.
Yeah.
But mine is like sweet as honey.
They love it, huh?
Yeah, they love it.
I don't know what it is about me, but yeah, they don't like it, which I'm a big fan of.
That's because you're green, Gita.
Okay, my turn to do the Sanskrit this time, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. Nāsti buddhir ayuktasya na chayuktasya bhavana Na cha bhavayata shantir ashantasya kuta sukham. Ashantasya without peace, kuta sukham. What question is there of what happiness? Nāsti.
That it cannot be.
Swasti. It can be. Swasti. Buddhi.
Transcendental intelligence
Ayuktasya.
of one who is not connected with Krishna consciousness.
Na.
Neither.
Cha.
And
Ayuktasya.
of one devoid of Krishna consciousness.
Bhavana.
Mind fixed in happiness.
Na.
Neither.
Cha.
And
Abhavayataha.
one who is not fixed.
Shanti.
Peace
Ashantasya.
of the unpeaceful.
Kutaha.
Where is
Sukham.
happiness?
Happiness. Oh, we've got another comments. Here we go.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'm not sure how you pronounce that name. Looks like it's in
Hebrew. Yes.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Hare Krishna.
Ahi or
It's a horse.
as a horse. Okay.
Ashrameta.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, translation. One who is not in transcendental consciousness can have neither a controlled mind nor steady intelligence, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace?
Yep. Is what's happening right now in the world, isn't it? No peace, no happiness. Ouch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, purport, one paragraph only.
Okay.
Oh. You want to read it?
Okay. Until peace. Okay. Real peace.
Okay.
Unless one is in Krishna consciousness, there is no possibility of peace. So it is confirmed in the 5th chapter, 529, that when one understands that Krishna is the only enjoyer of all the good results of sacrifice and penance,
Bhaktaram yagyatapasam. Sarva-duḥkhānāṁ.
and that he is the proprietor of all universal manifestations, that he is the real friend of all living entities,
Suridam sarva-bhūtānāṁ.
then only can one have real peace. That's yours.
Therefore, if one is not in Krishna consciousness, there cannot be a final goal for the mind. Disturbance is due to the want of an ultimate goal. And when one is certain that Krishna is the enjoyer, proprietor, and friend of everyone and everything, then one can, with a steady mind, bring about peace. Therefore, one who is engaged without a relationship with Krishna is certainly always in distress and is without peace. However much one may make a show of peace and spiritual advancement in life, Krishna consciousness is self-manifested. Krishna consciousness is a self-manifested, peaceful condition which can be achieved only in relationship with Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Shalom. Om Shalom. 529. Yeah. Let's click through and have a look at it. Bhaktaram yagyatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suridam sarvabhutanam yatvamam shantim richati. They get relief, shantim, peace, richati achieves. I don't know why I know that verse. I don't know. I just know verses from the Gita at this point. I love this book.
But you read it 20 years, whatever.
Yeah. Every day, multiple times, all the way through, over and over again. And it just continues to deliver the nectar, man. It's incredible. There's a great scene in a movie. There's a movie called Hare Krishna in the movies. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
And it's got all the different movie scenes with Hare Krishna, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's one where a guy's in an airport and he's distributing books, and this guy's like, oh, I'm too stressed out or something like that, or what did he say? A busy mind or something. And the guy says, oh, Krishna's got a lot to say about, a busy mind, friend. And he was just like, it wasn't like the main thrust of the movie.
Mhm.
He just happened to be passing through. And that's what the guy says is his book distribution line. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah.
One who is not in transcendental consciousness can have neither a controlled mind nor steady intelligence, without which there's no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace?
Mm.
If we look at the changes, eh?
Yeah.
So we can get upset about them.
So you can rant.
So we can rant, yeah. One who is not in transcendental consciousness, original, can have neither a controlled mind nor steady intelligence. One who is not connected with the Supreme. Okay.
And happiness in elaboration. What?
Go to the next one. Mind fixed in happiness. So, yeah, mind fixed in happiness. Huh. Okay, mind fixed in happiness. Okay, so the change, one who is not in transcendental consciousness, one who is not connected with the Supreme, one who is not in Krishna consciousness. One who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness, one who is not in transcendental consciousness. Srila Prabhupada said, one who is not in Krishna consciousness for the uncontrolled. Okay, wow. Just controlled, intelligence, concentration.
There's a different translation from that Dr.
Radha Krishna, yeah.
And for him, without concentration, there is no peace. And for the unpeaceful, how can there be unhappiness? Can be happiness without concentration?
Yeah. Well,
Concentration.
steady intelligence is what's meant by
Yeah.
like
And
being
concentration, just take it a different way. You like concentrate, like,
fixed. Yeah.
oh, yeah. Steady intelligence is just completely different, isn't it?
Well, one who is not in Krishna consciousness cannot have a fixed mind. One who is not in transcendental consciousness. Prabhupada just straight up said, in Krishna consciousness, man, why'd you change it?
Yeah. In Krishna consciousness, that means you're thinking about Krishna, you're meditating in Krishna. That's Krishna consciousness. Like, why do people have to add or change or...
Well, we could speculate about the mind of the first edition editor, right? He might have been thinking it's too much Krishna. Apparently he did say this. He was just like, it's just too much about Krishna. Like, people are not going to want to read this. That was his concern.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fair enough. But, it turns out that Srila Prabhupada's book is not an academic, and nobody is like, oh, it's done very scholar. Yeah, scholars appreciate it, but they appreciate it because this is a Krishna bhakta. Like, this is not just a clinical, dissection of Bhagavad-gita.
Mm-hmm.
This is an actual devotee of Krishna, like speaking from the tradition.
And he's a Krishna conscious person.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why change that?
Because our boy Hayagriva was worried because he was teaching at a university. So he was like thinking from the academic perspective.
So much, that is the problem with these so-called academics that just think.
Yeah.
They need to dilute it or change it just to fit with the thinking of other people or to be accepted by other readers.
The real problem with the academics is that as an academic, you're supposed to examine something, but you're not supposed to participate in it. Because then you're not an objective, supposedly you're not an objective observer.
Right.
Srila Prabhupada says that one cannot be a Muni unless he comes to a different conclusion than everyone else.
Mm.
If you don't have like a new take on the whole thing, then you're not really an academic. Like, you can't publish an academic paper that merely says what someone else already said. You have to come up with something new, right? So if you read Bhagavad-gita and you're an academic and you're going to produce some kind of academic work, your academic work can't be, this is what the Bhagavad-gita says. You have to come up with something that nobody said before. So therefore, people are like, they're not interested in understanding it as it is. They're interested in like extracting some kind of novel thing or take on it,
Yeah, that just give a lot of freedom to change it.
That's the academic mindset.
Yeah, sadly.
Can have neither a controlled mind. So here it says, can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind. So the controlled mind, what? Steady mind and transcendental intelligence is changed to steady intelligence and a controlled mind. What did Srila Prabhupada write?
Steady mind.
A fixed mind, we could say a steady mind, nor transcendental intelligence. So steady mind and transcendental intelligence. Okay, which is closer to the second edition, although they reversed the order. And here, controlled mind, nor steady intelligence. Controlled mind, nor steady intelligence. A fixed mind, nor transcendental intelligence. A controlled mind, steady intelligence.
Fix the mind.
Yeah, but in the first edition, it says controlled mind, nor steady intelligence.
Wait.
See?
That one, yeah.
Controlled mind, nor steady intelligence.
Well, the
No.
question is, the mind cannot be controlled.
Well, it's just, how did he get that?
How did you get like, here it says fixed mind, which doesn't mean it's controlled, is it?
Well, I mean, you could make an argument that it does, but it's not the same word. Fixed mind, controlled mind.
The mind cannot be controlled. Can be guided or diverted or entertained.
I don't understand what these editors are doing.
Cannot be controlled. And it says some part in Bhagavad-gita thing says the mind cannot be controlled. It needs to be what do you call? Not diverted, but fixed.
Directed?
Directed, fixed. So there's something for the mind to be occupied with rather than just controlling. It's like trying to control the mind. It's like trying to box and the air. Like, come on, it won't work. Trying to chase the wind. Okay.
So between the first edition and the second edition, they've changed it. Obviously. They've changed it to be kind of more towards Prabhupada, but they didn't just like straight up change it to what Prabhupada said. Why didn't they do that?
Because they want to write their own Bhagavad-gita and sound like they're super cool and intelligent. Like the guy was saying in his translation, better than Prabhupada.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. And penance, and that he is the proprietor. Penance. Okay.
Okay.
When one understands that Krishna is the only enjoyer of all the good results of sacrifice and penance, and that he is the proprietor of all universal manifestations, that he is the real friend of all living entities. And they've changed that into a list. Because otherwise, that he is the real friend of all living entities becomes a subordinate, like a description, an adjectival clause of this. Or like further elucidating what that means. Okay, so yeah, that change makes sense as like a small editorial change. However much, it said, however much one may make a show of peace. And they changed that to he. Okay. Therefore, one who is engaged without a relationship with Krishna is certainly always in distress and without peace, however much one may make a show of peace and spiritual advancement in life. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could have just left that as it was. It's not a critical thing. Okay, so there's not a huge amount of changes in the purport, but it's in the verse here where there's a significant amount of change, more kind of toward Prabhupada's purport, but not manuscript. You know what would be really good is a view that shows the Macmillan, the second edition, and Prabhupada's manuscript side by side.
Like 3 pages in one.
Three across, yeah.
Yeah. Within the like reducing it and getting to the other page.
Yeah,
It will make it easy.
good on whoever, Madhu Dvisa Prabhu, who did this. This is incredible.
Mm.
And we should talk to Krishna Kumari and get her to come on Vaishnava Voices
Yeah.
to talk about the first edition books.
Will be awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So, one who is not in transcendental consciousness can have neither a controlled mind nor steady intelligence. Let's go to Prabhupada's manuscript.
Let's be Prabhupada consciousness now.
One who is not in Krishna consciousness cannot have a fixed mind. Prabhupada wrote, one who is not in Krishna consciousness cannot have any fixed mind, nor transcendental intelligence, without which there is no possibility of peace. And without peace of mind, how can there be any happiness?
I love actually this. It is so direct, like he likes to speak.
Yeah.
When you read that, it's like, oh wow, Srila Prabhupada is just right there speaking to you. And his way is just one way, very straight.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. The other guys are just making it like, oh, let's make it softy so nobody gets like hurt feelings. Like, come on, it's not about hurt feelings. Truth, it doesn't come and, dilute it.
There's a verse in the Bhagavad-gita, in the Bhagavatam. Hang on.
Excuse me. Yeah.
That relates to this. Attracted by the glare of the material energy. Search it like this. Here. So there are 2 different translations of it. So the first one was given here in the Bhagavad-gita in 128. 128 in the purport. And it's actually Bhagavatam 5:18-12. 5:18-12. And the translation that's in here is different.
Okay.
Okay, so the Bhagavad-gita 128 translation in the purport. One who has unflinching devotion for the personality of Godhead has all the good qualities of the demigods. But one who is not a devotee of the Lord has only material qualifications that are of little value. Here we go. This is because he is hovering on the mental plane and is certain to be attracted by the glaring material energy.
Right?
And in here, cannot have steady intelligence. One who's not in transcendental consciousness can have neither a controlled mind nor steady intelligence. This is because he is hovering on the mental plane and is certain to be attracted by the glaring material energy. Right? This is the translation that I love of it, right? All the demigods and their exalted qualities, such as religion, knowledge, and renunciation, become manifest in the body of one who has developed unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. On the other hand, a person devoid of devotional service and engaged in material activities has no good qualities.
That's a bit much, right?
It's pretty intense, huh? Now, even if he's adept at the practice of mystic yoga or the honest endeavor of maintaining his family and relatives, he must be driven by his own mental speculations and must engage in the service of the Lord's external energies. How can there be any good qualities in such a man?
It's a bit closer to Srila Prabhupada's.
How can there be any happiness without peace? It echoes the structure of this, right? This verse here is basically the same concept, that without being engaged in Krishna consciousness, your mind and intelligence must engage in the service of the material energy, because there's only two energies, Krishna and Maya. And then there's the jiva, who's the tatashta shakti and is covered by one or the other.
What energy do you carry, Maya or Krishna's?
Well, no, it's a question of which energy carries you.
No, I'm asking you. Which energy do you carry, Krishna's or Maya?
Daivam prakritam ashritya bhajantanyanya manaso gyavabhutaram avyayam.
Meaning?
The divine energy, under the shelter of the divine energy of Krishna. Yeah. By his mercy, I'm Krishna's servant on the planet, on earth.
That's the test. Okay.
I'm not going to pretend to be humble or anything. You know, people are like, oh, I'm so fallen. Yeah, of course. And in a moment's notice, covered over by this huge ocean. Markandeya Rishi, he asked to see that it falls into an ocean.
Okay, contemporary examples.
Contemporary examples. So it doesn't matter how good, you know, people are like Trump, Q, Vladimir Putin, you know, Joe Biden, whatever. What they pick these different personalities who are going to be like the one, you know, going to save the country or whatever. Here in New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern had really a cult following around her, didn't she? And even the devotees were buying into that. I'm like, that this verse here, this 5:8:18:12, I heard my Diksha Guru, he gave a class, and he quoted this, and he said, non-devotees have no good qualities. You know, it's like people have forgotten that, because she has to engage in the service of the material energy. Not in transcendental consciousness can have. So it's like, why would we surrender to that person swimming in the ocean of scum, as Gora put it? You should find that witch Jacinda and serve her. Gora's on a roll, man. He's just killing it out there.
I know.
Oh, he just like he's
a warrior now.
Everything becomes about the jab, you know. It's just like, you know, they wanted to speculate and insert, you know, they think that they know better than Prabhupada and speculate, just like they did with the jab. You know, he just like immediately switches to that. You know, it's like people put their faith in the wrong thing. They put their faith in the wrong thing.
Yeah, and people talk about having faith. Oh, faith, what are you talking about? You actually have faith every second, you know, faith that you're going to be still alive, faith that you're going to arrive on time, faith that you're going to be eating lunch,
that the sun's going to come up in the
faith
morning.
that the guy is going to text you, faith that the girl is going to say, I like you. You know, there's faith in everything. And you're like, what are you talking about, faith? You don't realize faith is actually, you know, that.
There's actually another, here I am using the search on the, it's,
make his faith strong. Okay.
Yeah, Krishna says,
warm.
Yeah. Is it this one? Yeah. I'm in everyone's heart as the super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity.
Mm.
Yo yo yum yum tanum bhaktaha.
Yum yum sounds like a very Asian food.
Yo yo yum yum. Whoever, whatever, whichever. Tanum bhaktaha. Tanum means form.
Mm.
God has given independence to everyone. Let's go with the first edition.
I think we're just going off the road.
You think so?
Yeah, but never mind.
I don't think we are, because this is the point that you're making about faith,
I know.
right? And actually, people have faith in these different things.
Yeah.
But Krishna actually gives them faith.
Mm.
God has given independence to everyone. Therefore, if a person desires to have material enjoyment and wants very sincerely to have such facilities from the material demigods, the Supreme Lord, as super soul in everyone's heart, understands and gives facilities to such persons. Yeah. Therefore, he gives full independence, whatever one likes.
He's a wish-fulfilling
Tree.
What is the wish-fulfilling tree?
Kalpa-vriksha.
It's a kalpa-vriksha.
Yeah, kalpa-vriksha.
Okay. I have kalpa-vriksha in my chart.
Very good.
Should actually wish more.
I know, I should rub you like a genie lamp. Get my 3 wishes.
Well, have one of those wishes, eh?
Okay, so you're saying people have faith in, like, people say, oh, faith, that's ridiculous, but they have faith in so many things.
Yeah, people are like, this is the interesting thing. People are like, do you believe in this? You have faith in that, in God? Are you crazy? What is faith? You having faith that you're waking up in the morning, you're going to see your girlfriend or boyfriend. You have faith that you're going to arrive to the bus stop on time. You have faith that you're going to have a lunch today with this or that person. Everything is based on faith.
Another thing that's...
And yet you question about faith? Okay.
Another thing interesting about that, on that point, I was thinking of this when we were at the farm, because you probably haven't seen it, but in What is the Difficulty, Charachandravali was asking about Vastu.
Vastu.
Yeah. And so Muchakunda's like, Vastu, the Srila Bhaktivinoda Prabhupada didn't tell to do it, and I can't see Bhaktivinoda Thakur wasting the energy on that, and then I was like, we're designing Vishnu Pramapali according to Vastu. And then the next thing I said, this is what I said about it. I said, anything can work as long as you believe in it hard enough. That's from the Sitapati Samhita. Like, literally anything can work if you believe in it hard enough, Like, people, they become self-fulfilling prophecies. There are entire civilizations that run on what we would today consider to be, nonsense. Primitive superstitions, and yet people ran entire civilizations on that stuff. The Babylonians, the Egyptians, the Assyrians, the Sumerians, the Incas, the Mayans, the Toltecs, People have run entire civilizations on ideas that people today say are nonsense.
Exactly.
Because they believe in it hard enough,
Well, yeah, that's because they weren't there. They weren't present in there, It's like in 100 years' time, this civilization will be destroyed. That civilization really exists? Yes. Just because you were in that time doesn't mean it didn't exist. And that is the thing of people, they live for 100 years and they have an opinion about what happened 5,000 years ago. Like, right.
Yeah. Here's some other beliefs. Some other things that people have faith in. They have faith that vaccines are safe and effective. They have faith that big pharma have our backs. Yeah, they have faith, trust the science, I mean, science has become like, it's a religion. Because imagine this, right? Just as a thought experiment,
Right.
It's like, all these other civilizations, you know, the Sumerians, the Toltecs, the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Incas, the Babylonians, the Assyrians, the Egyptians, all the stuff that those people, the Greeks, Romans, all the stuff that they all believed was nonsense, right? But what we believe today is like the solid gold truth, you know, like science, you know? But what if it turns out that, like Krishna says in Bhagavad-gita, that whatever people put their faith into and whatever they like believe hard enough, he makes that work, basically. And so our civilization is nothing different from any of the other ones that came before. And people in the future will go, these guys believed in some really weird stuff, you know, like the existence of atoms. And it was just, we believed in it hard enough and it produced a particular technology that worked in a particular way. Maybe these other people, Atlantis or whatever, maybe they believing in these other ways of seeing reality, and just because of the collective consciousness and focus of the people, that it actually works when enough people focus on it. Thought experiment for you anyway.
Thought experiment.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's real. I'm just saying, like, if you were to like look at reality, like just with a flexible mind and an open mind, you'd questioning everything.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's like why people would yeah, I mean, they just can't see their way through the science, you know, the science. It's a belief system.
Yeah, the science is the new belief system for this what do you call Western civilization.
Yeah.
And for the Incas was more about astronomy, astrology, and demigod, higher living entities, contact with higher living entities. And it's evidence in the construction there in the Inca Empire.
Yeah.
And that's where my city is, you know, the Inca Empire. I've been living there and I experienced that, and I see all of this construction that nobody can find out how it's been done.
Yeah, exactly. Those kind of things demonstrate something. It's like these people, their way of seeing the universe, non-scientific, blah, 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 and it's nonsense and everything. And at the same time, they have a civilization that runs. And then at the same time, they produce archaeology that now, when you look at it, it's like, how do they make that? How do they fit those stones together?
Well, you know, the thing that happened, that there was quite some similarities in Africa. There's certain groups that have their ancestors, they know who the ancestors are and when they are coming to live with them.
Oh, I can tell you something interesting about that.
One moment.
Yeah.
Un momento. And, you know, they know how their everything is working. They're very quite elevated living entities.
Mm-hmm.
And some Western people, when there's like, these people are crazy and nonsense and they believe in this and that, is like, yeah, right. So they have to feel some sort of like a superior intelligence to minimize something they never even try. And then they minimize that in order for them to feel intelligent. And that's exactly what happened with the previous civilizations. And some Westerners is like, oh, it never existed. They cannot believe like the higher living entities existed. And you don't believe that. Still, you cannot even build something similar to that. You cannot even give an explanation about how these rocks had been put in such a way that nobody can find how exact it is.
Yeah.
What does it is telling you is a common sense. The higher living entities that you're not even able to understand yourself, and you trying to minimize that in order for you to think like you're way more intelligent. Nah, it's just like bring them a rock and put it under the rock.
So I got two things for you.
Okay.
First one, I watched a video the other day. There's a guy, he speaks Te Reo Māori. He went to the Marquesas Islands and discovered through their what's called whakapapa, which is their like genealogy, that the canoes that came to New Zealand with the Māori who settled New Zealand came from the Marquesas Islands.
Marquesas Island.
Yeah. So it's up near it's in French Polynesia. And the canoes that came here came from there. The names of the canoes, the tribes that came from those wakas, And also people from Marquesas came here and from one island, one of the Marquesas Islands, went to Rotorua and then, compared their whakapapa with the whakapapa of the tribe there and found out that they had like a shared ancestry, split. That was one thing. The second thing is this idea about progress and evolution. So there's two kind of different narratives and ways, lenses you can look at the world. One is this like devolution, like there's some higher state in the past, and that's like Satya, Treta, Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and then Kali Yuga, right? And it's going down. And then there's this other idea that everything's going up, and it's progress and it's evolution, and that's like this linear view of history, right? It's going up. This idea of progressive Vaishnavism, they've taken that idea and turned that into the dominant narrative, rather than the devolution idea of like it used to be higher and then it's going down. And you look at things like the buildings at Machu Picchu, right? The pyramids, like ancient civilizations that have built archaeological things that we couldn't even build today.
Yeah.
And then we're like, hey, it does look like there's evidence that demonstrates that there was some kind of higher state of civilization previously. But the part of the bewildering propaganda of the demons is this idea of like linear progress and history, like whatever exists now is better than anything that came before, right? And this is the statement of the demons.
Nonsense.
Yeah, well, this is their statement from the 16th chapter.
Even if you think about this, look, previously, the different yugas. In certain yugas, they were highly, highly, highly intelligent. And in the next and Kali Yuga, they're the most degraded one. And in Kali Yuga, they're thinking, they could never be existed. They can never do that, how can they remember things and then just transmit the knowledge through the spoken one without having to write in anything? The Incas had the same thing. They didn't have to write in anything, there was all spoken.
Yeah.
And now they're just like, oh, no, that could never exist. We cannot even remember things like, for sure, you cannot even remember in Kali Yuga. That doesn't mean in the other yugas that happened, because that happened for sure because they were highly intelligent. Now it's the same with the Incas. The Incas were like highly intelligent living entities, and they were in contact with highly intelligent higher beings from different planets. They worship the demigods. They fear the demigods. They worship the demigods. They offer them, to the demigods, everything.
So this is the idea of the demons. This is a demonic mentality, right? I'm perfect, powerful, happy. I'm the Lord of everything. I'm the richest. There's none so powerful and happy as I. Like, I am the most, right?
Yeah.
And so
that sounds more narcissistic.
Yeah. So you're telling people that like you are literally the most advanced person ever to exist. That's what they're telling people.
Yeah.
So this is the idea of progressive Vaishnavism, and it's a contamination of this progressive idea, this like evolution, and literally what's so seductive about it is that they're telling you that you are literally the most advanced, to have ever lived. You're the pinnacle of evolution. And people are like, oh, really? Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. And they buy into that. And then here's the problem with it. Because you know what they're doing there? They're telling people this, that like literally where we are now is the best it's ever been. And whatever comes next is even better. And in that way, they can sell their further degradation and further involvement in demonic degradation as progress. These people are going around and they're doing things that are literally contrary to the scripture, preaching against the tradition, against the acharyas, against the scriptures, and calling that progress because they bought into this essential dynamic that anything that happens in the future is progress on the past. They've bought that lie. And so now that they're inside it. So I mean, one way of looking at the world is this idea of progress, but it's not the only way of looking at it. And I don't think it should be the primary way. And it's not the primary way given in the scriptures. I don't know how we got onto that, but it's a bit of a rant about.
I know. It's interesting to discuss this, like compare to the Gita, the ancient knowledge. The other thing you were saying about the contact with the Tahitian Waka Papa.
Oh yeah, Vaishnava Savedas says from Tahiti, French Polynesia. Not quite Tahiti, but the Marquesas Islands, which are kind of, I think, a little bit further east from Tahiti.
Cousins.
Yeah.
The Incas, according to the.
Oh, hang on. No, let's do this. So what that looks like is that the flow could be from South America across, from South America to Easter Island, and then across this way. That's where they come from.
Maybe. Anyways, so according to their books of the appearance of the Incas, they appear from the Lake Titicaca.
Okay, that's in Puno.
In Puno.
On the border, what's now just north of the border between Chile and Peru.
Yeah, but the Lake Titicaca is a lake, right?
Yep.
They appear out of the lake.
And?
They appear out of the lake. So which living entity can come out of a lake and say, I'm coming here?
Aliens? Extraterrestrials? Coming from inside the flat.
Higher living entities for sure.
Yeah.
What do they call the ones that live under the water? The Nagas?
Nagas, yeah.
Are they bad or good ones?
I don't know.
I think they were good ones. I don't know. Anyways, it just came to my head. But that's how the Incas appear, according to they call it mythology.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then if I think back about it, it's like, okay, they appear out of the lake and they've been told, like, once they put their golden, what do you call this one, stick or whatever they were carrying in a certain place, and if it disappears, that is the place they have to start the empire. And they walk and they walk and they walk, and they put it in Cusco and it disappeared. So that means that's where Cusco was, the empire started. Yeah. So there's the knowledge about the Incas. And they have gold, gold was like you having your pebbles on the streets.
Yeah, they had like heaps of gold.
It's like gold. It's like, what is that? And
that was one
thing. And the Westerners like, gold, wow, killing the poor Incas for gold. Like, oh my God, it's horrible.
I remember reading that when I was there. In the H.H. Wilson, I think his name is, he wrote a book called The Conquest of Peru, and American historian. And in there, the Spaniards come along and then they record that these people are drinking out of like golden cups. They couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And they had no sense of their value. They were just like drinking out of they basically said, "Oh, can I have a cup?" And the guy was just like, "Sure." Just gave it to them. Yeah. And they were like, "Whoa." So then they captured the Inca, Atahualpa, and then they had them fill up the throne room to the height of the king with gold as a ransom.
Yeah. They are so, how do you call it? Avaricious?
Yeah. Avaricious, yeah.
Avaricious.
Like greedy.
Greedy. So greedy.
Yeah.
And the Incas like, okay, have it, Because everything for them is like everything belongs to demigods. Everything is Mother Earth. So yeah, have it. No, that there's greediness about gold or other materials there. Yeah, so that's the Inca culture, and how I was trying to compare, like, in the Vedic history or scriptures, is the demigods, how they are in control of different aspects in life. Like, for example, Vayu, he's in control of the air. He's a demigod of the air personified. Yeah, he's a person. And in the Incas, they have the same thing, you know, the Yakumama, that means like the water, the mother water, it's a mother. The earth is a mother, and the sun is a father, you know, and the wind is a father. So they have this understanding, they're creators, they're fathers. We worship them. And they used to do that, you know, even the sun, you know, the sun, they worship specifically to the sun in a specific time.
Inti.
Yeah, Inti Raimi, Inti, you know, the festivity of celebration of the sun. And when I go back to the history, there's like, okay, they appear out of the lake. They have a higher knowledge and higher communication with other living entities. Like, yeah, for sure. It's no strange to me. And for these historians, obviously, the non-Peruvian historians, they say, oh, it's a myth. It's like,
yeah, so they
like,
look
really?
back, anything that seems higher than what we have today or unexplainable in terms of what we know and understand today has to be a myth, because today we are the most advanced anyone has ever been.
Advanced.
And whatever comes next is more advanced. So, you know, it's like, you know, gay marriage, Pride Month, transgenderism, transhumanism, you know, 15-minute cities, social credit system, like literally anything that comes after what we're doing now has to be progress. It must be, because history never goes backwards. It always just goes forwards. You know?
According to them.
Yeah, according to this idea. It's always like, even though there are like historical collapses of empires that we've seen and that we know about, and then there's this whole thing about the Dark Ages, you know, and then I saw a meme the other day and it said, you know, they'll have you believe that the Dark Ages is inhabited by like these illiterate peasants and everything. And then they show you some of the architecture from the so-called Dark Ages. And it's like, you know, what actually happened? Even you can even see it in these cities that we live in, even in like Australia and New Zealand. You can walk around in the center of the city and look at some of these older buildings and go, what happened? Like, where did these buildings come from?
The buildings are way better like 100, 200 years ago.
Now buildings look like trash.
Yeah, it's like a plastic or some Chinese-made material,
like
wood.
Just a box.
And yeah, exactly. And they call it like, this is the design, the modern designs, like, all right. But if we go back for talking about architecture and also mentioning Vastu, the houses are representation of a person's energy. So it's in conjunction with the earth energy. So it's smoothly running. So it's in harmony. And in India, everything is built according to Vastu. That the house itself or the buildings themselves are living entities. And years and years and years pass by, the building is still there with that life, with that energy. Because it's like the representation of the energy they captured and is made with the earth, the energy of the earth, according to the auspiciousness of the earth. So it's protective. It's in harmony, right? So there is one example we can say. Some people go to certain houses and they just feel so weird about it. They're like, whoa. They cannot explain about that energy, but it's like, oh, I feel a bit weird about this house. So people go to certain houses like, oh my gosh, you know, this house is amazing. It's like vibrant, it's beautiful. And so they don't notice that the energy that is running is actually quite auspicious energy. Therefore, it's quite inviting, vibrant, you know, because it's representing the energy of the person. So that's Vastu. And the living example, India, is according to Vastu. Everything is according to Vastu. It's not just like these days modern architects. Oh yeah, it's box. You put a window here and your bedroom here and painting and everything. Everything is according to Vastu. So they don't have that knowledge, unfortunately. Quite sad. Yeah.
We should look at that Vastu book that Ulysses has on his website. We'll check that out.
I have a Vastu book.
Do you?
Yeah.
Where is it? In a shipping container.
Correct.
How did I guess? Okay, let's go back to the verse to finish, eh?
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, folks. Nāsti buddhir ayuktasya, na cha ayuktasya bhavana, na cha bhavayata shantir, ashantasya kuta sukham.
One who is not in
Mhm.
correct. One who is not in transcendental consciousness can have neither a controlled mind nor a steady intelligence, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace?
Jai. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Total world victory of Hare Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai
Jai
Srila
Shri Ram.
Prabhupada.